Oh, durka durka durka.
All right, welcome to another shitty review of a knife or knives you've never heard of. And this video is about my favorite knives, my users. So user, let me define that first. I collect cheap knives, got about 40 or 50 knives, and almost all of them are under $100. But that doesn't mean that I would consider them all users. There's ones that I like to have just to flick, or they look cool or whatever. But then there's a knife that, what's the knife that you actually want to take out and use in some in a situation where you anticipate having to use a knife? I'm not talking about you're going to go stab somebody. I'm talking about, okay, I got to go do some work, help clean this person's apartment. I got to do this yard work. Like, I need a knife that's going to be sturdy, that I don't worry about breaking, that I'm confident in or whatever. That's what I'm talking about. So, two knives to talk about here. Petrified Fish Forward, or called the PF818. It's not called this everywhere, which is interesting. PF818 get you there. And then the Bestech Slyther. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about each one of these and why I like them. So first up, the PF818. The specs of this knife are very pedestrian, but that's kind of the point, right? So D2 steel, nothing special. 8-inch handle length, which is just average. 3.5-inch blade, I would say, is a little bit above average. That's good for me. And then the weight, 3.767 ounces. Let's see if that's true here. Mine says 3.56. So who knows? Interesting. Anyway, with that weight and those dimensions, it's very normal, very comfortable. This is it's a cool blade shape, by the way. It's dirty, but that's because I use it. It has these like 3 triangles here. It's I don't know. It's very it's interesting to me, even though it's a simple blade shape. It's very comfortable. Has a good clip. I don't like the fact that our friend David Chen had to put his name on the clip, because I don't want to see anybody's name on the clip. But it is what it is. The clip is very basic, and I mean, this is such a cheap knife. That's the headline. This knife is like 25 bucks. Like, what? So that's number one. What's great, what makes this a user, is you don't have to worry about breaking it, because you could just buy another one. So here it is, a White Mountain Knives, 28 bucks with a 10% discount code. You can use LTK for that. And so now we're talking about a $25 knife, free shipping. I mean, I really just can't see you doing any better. Now, this would be the absolute cheapest, but Amazon has a lot more different styles. So this is the one I have, which is this green, kind of a hunter green with a stone wash blade. I think it's a really good combo, but they have satin, they have micarta scales instead of G10. So this is, I think, Amazon has the best variety. But of course, you get the stupid Amazon bullshit where you change one little option and then the price changes and annoying shit like that. So if you can, White Mountain Knives. It's just better. But this knife, with all these basic specs, it just feels very reliable. So for me, how something feels in my hand is very important to me. And this has neutral ergonomics. I can feel the clip there, but it's not too bad. Kind of rests into my hand properly. A little bit of jimping here. And it just feels like a good, normal, natural knife. Not too fancy, and something that I want to use. So very underrated. I mean, it's not even rated. Who rates this? Petrified Fish PF818, also known as the Forward. Great user. And next up is the Bestech Slyther. So just like our Petrified Fish friend here, whatever I've bumbled into, the knives that, like I said, I want to just pick up and use. If you look at what these have in common, they're both a little chunky. This one, I think, even chunkier. I don't have calipers to measure it, but the Bestech doesn't have the nested liners. They're both rear flipper only, which is not that exciting to me for fidgeting, but is very practical to me in general. Certainly more practical if you're actually getting your knife out to do something than having to rely on a spidey flick. So I guess if I had to pick between rear flipper and thumb studs, I guess I'm ambivalent about that. I don't have a strong opinion about it. But both of those to me are the most practical. Like, okay, I need to pick out my knife and use it. And those are the two most practical methods. But these two knives, a lot in common, about the same length, 8 inches or a little more. This blade is slightly longer. This is a heavier knife at 4.55 ounces, but that's the range for me that I want to be in, is like 3.5 to 4.5, because I actually don't like the knife to be too light and feel not substantial, but I don't want to carry around a really heavy knife. So that's the magic range for me anyway. This blade shape is not normally what I would go for. This like reverse tanto here with the belly and these holes. When I see this knife, a picture of it, it just doesn't look like the kind of thing you'd buy. This one is significantly more expensive, 68 bucks. And I'm not sure that I can justify the price of that to you, but to me, for whatever reason, this thing is worth it. Compared to the Petrified Fish over here, this has a better steel, 14C28N, and the action on this is improved. This has a nice accessible liner lock. Of course, this is also a liner lock. That's another thing they have in common, but this is real smooth. Pretty thick blade stock, which is part of the reason it feels substantial, and a little bit thinner for this Petrified Fish, but pretty thick blade stock for this. And the ease of deployment, the neutral ergonomics, the size and weight of the knife is what makes it a good user to me. And I also really do like this. This is a good clip. It's deep carry. It's unobtrusive. It works well. Has the right amount of tension. So to me, all things put together, this is a great knife to actually use. Because it's thick, I just have this feeling, I guess, with both of them, if I had to hit, sometimes, you know, you have to hit something, smash something, because you don't want to do it with your fist, you want to do it with a knife, or you want to do it not your fist. Both of these, just like something you could use for that in a pinch. Just feels practical. It's a good knife. So yeah, my favorite users, the Bestech Slyther, about 68 bucks. And boy, this Petrified Fish PF818, 25 bucks at White Mountain Knives in blue G10 at the moment. This is May 2024, pretty sure. Cool. Just like these things. And again, if you have a knife collection like me, you can you don't even have to think about it. You could just sort of look and see which knives you pick up, how do you use them, and you probably unknowingly have a type. Like this was not I didn't know that this would be exactly the type of knife that I would say fits this category, but when I went and looked at the knives in this shelf or in the drawer, these are the two that popped out. They have all these common characteristics, so I think by process of elimination, this is my my user knife profile. So 3.5-inch blade ish, 8-inch handle length, or 8-inch overall length ish. Cheap steel, so it's just cheap knife, so I don't have to worry too much about messing it up. Be nice to have. I'm not a big fan of D2 because I think it's really hard to sharpen, so I do think 14C28N is a nice step up. But there we are. Liner locks, rear flippers, pretty basic stuff, but gets the job done. And look at that action again there. It's real nice. So it's a little bonus with this user. Adios.